So I reviewed Brioni Eau De Parfum last year, but not even a year later, Brioni has launched Eau De Parfum Intense. Now, I actually featured this in a recent video of fragrances and smells I've been enjoying, and I think this is actually improved upon the original. And even though I really enjoyed the original, I enjoy the Intense a lot more. So find out about both of these fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian, and yes, today I'm talking about Brioni Eau De Parfum Intense. So the fragrances are called by the brand name Brioni, and then the name of the brand name and Eau De Parfum. So the original is Brioni Eau De Parfum, and then the new one is Brioni Eau De Parfum Intense. And these are fragrances that launched in 2021, according to my research. This launched earlier part of 2021, and this launched right at the end of 2021. The original is created by Michel Almairac. Now the Intense is created by Michel Almairac with Karine Vinchon Spehner. So she's a perfumer I've been talking about, and she's got several fragrances that I enjoy over at Amouage. So they've done a great job with this one. I also didn't mention at the beginning of the video, before the intro, there is a discount code over at soavantgarde.com. Link in the info box. There's a 20% off discount code, Sebastian20, which you can use to buy these fragrances if you're into the idea of these particular fragrances. Either way, I'll let you know about Brioni Eau De Parfum Intense and how it compares to the original Brioni Eau De Parfum. Before I do, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So I never got to sample the Brioni fragrances before these two launched. I know there were several out there, maybe 2 or 3, I can't remember exactly, and several people had mentioned to me via comments that they were great releases. So they launched this earlier last year. I personally think this was launched in 2020, at the end of 2020. That's why this got launched like a year after. But I got my hands on it around the middle of 2021, and I enjoyed it. It's a kind of an ozonic fragrance with powdery touches. Focuses on violets, but I felt like there were violet leaves in here, which usually is kind of a fragrance note that creates this kind of like watery, crisp crunchiness within fragrances, still smelling like violets. And this was also, as I said, created by Michel Almairac. He had actually created the original Fahrenheit, focusing on violets, things like that. So I felt like this was a very modern take on something very much like Fahrenheit, minus the kind of like petrol, gasoline, and leathery touches. Although this does get lightly leathery, very lightly, it doesn't have that original leathery touch. I felt like it was a great fragrance, very ozonic, very crisp, crunchy. It even featured some apple in the notes, which basically they've moved over to this one, and I'm going to tell you what they've done with this one with the apple note. Some of the notes are similar, but this one doesn't get very violety, if at all. So let's talk about Brioni Eau De Parfum Intense 2021. Again, this is a co-creation between Karine Vinchon Spehner and Michel Almairac. I would call this a woody, amber, spicy, and fruity fragrance, and the price is 100 ml for $135. So the Intense is only $15 more, and as I said, I do have that discount code Sebastian20, which will save you 20% off of any of these or anything over at soavantgarde.com. So for notes in the Eau De Parfum Intense, for top notes we've got Italian citruses, peppery bergamot, mandarin orange, and pink pepper. Heart notes features patchouli, saffron, green apple. Base notes features oud, ambroxan, and vanilla. Okay, as soon as I started spraying this fragrance and started wearing it and enjoying it, because as I said, I did feature it in fragrances and smells I'm enjoying a lot lately, to me, it really exploded with that fruity, juicy, crisp apple note. Although, you know, you've got the citruses in here, you've got the spices in here, but to me, I felt like the apples were so prominent in here that immediately after first spraying and you get the juicy citruses and the light spices, the apple pretty much takes over in contrast with saffron. This is such a great combo. I really love this combo, and the first time I experienced something like that was in a fragrance by what is it called? Imaginary Authors, and he had a fragrance before he changed it to Slow Explosions, and it was kind of this musky, appley saffron kind of a combination. So I like that combination. It's really, really great because the saffron in the heart, along with the green apple and the patchouli, the combination of the saffron and green apple is really, really great because it creates this kind of a leathery touch. There's a soft leathery, suede leathery like experience here. Going back to Fahrenheit once again, right? Because that's a leathery fragrance, but this doesn't smell anything like Fahrenheit whatsoever. It's actually completely different than this particular fragrance as well, although this is ozonic, and you have those kind of juicy, crisp ozonic touches here, but I think that experience is created from the green apple note. It's very, very fruity, it's very, very fresh, and that's the kind of experience it is to start with. The citruses and that spices at the top don't last as long because this green apple note really, really dominates with the saffron note. So this combination is amazing. It's a great start. It's very juicy. It's very, very drippy, kind of fruity, and then also crisp. There's this crispness about it, and that's why I feel like they've taken the ozonic touches from the ozonic notes in the original and created it with the green apple note, but still no violet-y touch because I don't get violet experience with this one at all. Whereas the original is powdery because of the violets and also the ozonic notes. This one doesn't get very powdery for me. But for me, it's a fragrance that has two sides. The start with its fruity juiciness and the kind of like suede leather softness. And also there's this kind of like succulent quality about it, like pulpy. I think it's because of the green apple. That is very, very prominent up until the fragrance starts changing to become a completely other fragrance. Because there is oud mentioned here, because there is ambroxan and vanilla in the base notes, the fragrance turns to become a warm, spicy, ambery, woody, oudy fragrance, still having that prominence of the appley touches, and then also those soft leathery touches and the light spices. But I think the combination creates for such a great wearing experience. I feel like it's definitely really, really solid with what they've done. The apple combo with the saffron and the oud and the vanilla creates this ambery touch with the ambroxan, kind of musky, woody, dusty, ambery, all together for one beautiful blend. Very, very delicious experience. And again, it is two-sided. It is two personalities. Fun to kind of more serious. Also, it's a male-targeted release, right? This is for men. I feel like it's the evolution of a male. Like, starts out young, he enjoys these kind of fruity, kind of fun, playful kind of notes, and then develops into kind of more masculine and, a little more like an adult male kind of an experience, which is what it evolves to during the lifespan of the particular fragrance. So it's an enjoyable fragrance. It's oudy, but oudiness comes in later. Vanilla comes in later, of course, the ambroxan. So it does create this kind of ambery touch, which is what I like. I like these warm, spicy touches. So that's another thing, because up top, you've got all this freshness, but it becomes winter, it's a summer, or the other way around. It's winter with all the fresh notes and the fresh air, and then it becomes summer, it warms up and gets a little more intense and things like that. Now here's the thing, the intense doesn't necessarily refer to a more intense concentration, and it's called Eau de Parfum Intense, but it's not like, they're not referring to like longer lasting, this more beefy kind of an experience. They're both Eau de Parfum concentration, and I think the intense referral to this particular fragrance basically refers to what you're going to be left with. It's a more intense experience with the woods and the amber and things like that, because it doesn't appear here, but it definitely appears in the new Eau de Parfum Intense. So not in the Eau de Parfum, but in Eau de Parfum Intense it definitely does. I have to go back to this. This does get a little ambery, but it's not as much. This does have the apple note, but not as much as this. This is like taking the apple and putting it right in front of you, and it's that very, very ripe, kind of a crisp apple, still ripe and very juicy, drippy. When you bite into it, you got that water dripping down your arm and things like that, but it's very, very fragrant. That's the kind of apple it is, but still has this crispness about it, and I like that crispness about it because the violet leaves note or the ozonic notes in here is very crisp, which eventually develops to this powdery violet experience. Here, the crispness from the apple develops into a warm, spicy, woody, ambery fragrance. It's a really, really great fragrance. If you like the idea of fruitiness, you know, developing to the kind of woodiness, I highly recommend you try it. It's also very, very gentlemanly. It's classy, but as I said, up top, it's more playful, a little more young, but it becomes mature as it ages or, you know, develops on your skin. So those are my thoughts on Brioni Eau De Parfum Intense. What are your thoughts about this particular fragrance? I think it's a really, really solid release. I like fragrances like this. Sometimes I know what I'm going to get into, but this one changes so much to develop into something completely different that I like. It's more of like an adventure when you're wearing it rather than you know what it is and that's what it's going to be. Because when you put on apples as a note, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go and become woody kind of a thing. And that's what happens with this. And that's what's unique about it. And that's why I feel like it's a great, really, really solid release for men that just came out and things like that. So check out Brioni Eau De Parfum Intense. I highly recommend it as a great fragrance that I am loving, as a great smell, and one that I like to wear. And then also, if you have the original, compare them and let me know. Come back and let me know what you think and how it compares. I know some people will like the original over the Intense. It's just a matter of taste. I do like this, but I do love this. Anyway, don't forget to take advantage of that discount code. It's Sebastian20 over at So Avant-Garde. Now, I had purchased my original Eau De Parfum version of the Brioni last year. This particular one was sent to me, but you know, it's a matter of taste of what I like and things like that. So really dig in this one over this one. Both of them are very, very solid. So the last thing I wanted to say, I'm a fan of Michel Almairac's fragrances. He does some really, really great work. He's done some great fragrances. Of course, he did the original Fahrenheit, which I think this kind of pays tribute to the original Brioni Eau De Parfum. I think it does. Even though they're nothing like the you know, one another, you'll get hints of it and things like that. And I also like the fragrances of Karine Vinchon Spehner. I've been talking a lot about her. I've done videos on Amouage, and she's done some great fragrances from Amouage that I'm a fan of. So it's interesting to see that two great perfumers went into the creation of the new Eau De Parfum Intense, whereas the original is created by one perfumer. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. One other thing I just remembered, I keep forgetting what I was going to say. So when I bought this directly off of Brioni's website. Later I found out that So Avant-Garde, who is a distributor, the fragrance group, which distributes Lalique fragrances and Bentley fragrances. This brand is under that group of Lalique and Bentley. So if you're a fan of those fragrances, you know you're in for good quality fragrances here with these two fragrances. So that's the thing I was really thinking about letting you guys know about, and so I hope you guys get to check out both of these if you haven't, and if you have, checked this one out, definitely check Brioni Eau De Parfum Intense. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.